You think you're manifesting from your mind, but you're not. Because the truth is, your reality is not shaped by your thoughts. It's shaped by your wounds, by your unprocessed memories, by the emotions your body has never been allowed to fully feel. You can visualize, you can affirm, you can journal all day long, but if the signal underneath those practices is coming from a place of fear, from abandonment, from scarcity, from the quiet terror of not being enough, then what you're calling in isn't freedom. It's more of the same. Different people, same patterns, different jobs, same stress, different house, same emptiness. And you wonder why nothing changes. You think maybe you're blocked. Maybe the universe is testing you, but it's not. The universe isn't punishing you, it's just mirroring you and not the version of you perform when you're doing your practices. It's reflecting the you that exists beneath the surface. The you that trembles when no one's watching, the you that still believes love has to be earned, that safety has to be controlled, that joy is something you get only after the work is done. And until that version shifts, everything else stays the same, because manifestation isn't mental. It's somatic, it's cellular, it's subconscious. It's not the words you say out loud, it's the frequency you carry in silence. And if that frequency is trauma-soaked, guess what? It's going to bring more of. It's not your fault, but it is your responsibility. And in this video, we're going deep. Not into the fluff, not into the hype, but into the hard truth. The truth that most people avoid because it's not glamorous. It's not instant. It's not easy. But it is real. And if you're ready to finally understand why you keep looping, why your life feels like a reflection of your pain instead of your power, then stay with me, because the shift you're craving, it doesn't begin in your mind. It begins in your nervous system. You wake up and the first thought in your mind isn't inspiration or clarity, it's weight. It's that familiar heaviness, like your life is on repeat, and no matter how hard you try to shift something, always pulls you back, and you wonder why it keeps happening, why your inner work seems invisible to the outside world. You've read the books, you've done the work, you've shown up over and over again, you've journaled, you've meditated, you've visualized your dream reality so many times. It feels more real than the world outside your window. And still, your relationships loop. Your bank account stays fragile. Your purpose stays a question mark. And you start questioning yourself. You scroll on social media, and everyone's talking about alignment, about ease, about flow. And you're sitting there, wondering if you're broken, if there's some cosmic memo you missed. And deep down, you start to feel like maybe it's just not meant for you. Like maybe you're the exception to this whole quantum manifestation thing. But that thought, right there, that's the trap. Because the truth is, you're not broken. You're patterned, your body, your nervous system, your subconscious mind has been running a frequency for so long, it's become your home. And even though your soul is reaching for expansion, your energy is still echoing out, the signature of survival, the imprint of lack, the residue of old identities, and the quantum field hears that louder than anything else. It doesn't matter what you say, it doesn't matter what you post, it doesn't even matter what you write in your manifestation journal. If your energy says, I don't feel safe to change the field, listens, and it obeys. That's the brutal and beautiful part about this reality. It doesn't play favorites, it plays frequencies. And when you start to really grasp that, when you start to own the truth, that your life is a reflection, not of your desire, but of your dominant energetic tone, you unlock something dangerous, something powerful, something that changes everything. Because now, you're not waiting for a sign. You are the signal. Now you're not hoping something shifts. You are the shift, and it starts in the quiet spaces. The in-between moments when no one's watching, when you're not trying to prove, when you're not trying to be high vibe, you're just being. And that's where the real work is done. It's not sexy. It's not glamorous. It's not even noticeable at first, but it's sacred, because you're telling your nervous system a new story. You're teaching your frequency a new language, and eventually the field has no choice but to reflect that back. This is the part no one teaches because it's not marketable, but it's the most important part. And once you understand that, once you live, that you'll never look at manifestation the same way again. You see, the real reason your life keeps circling the same outcomes is not because you're not aligned enough, not because you don't want it enough. Not because you're doing something wrong. It's because your baseline has been built in a reality that no longer fits who you're becoming. And no one tells you how disorienting that feels. How frustrating it is to want to move forward while still feeling glued to the past. How exhausting it is to carry a frequency you didn't consciously choose, one that was shaped by your upbringing, by your trauma, by the unspoken rules your nervous system had to follow just to feel safe. You can light a candle, meditate with your crystals, set your intentions under the full moon, but if your body still tenses when money comes up, if your stomach still drops when you think about being seen, if your energy still contracts when love gets close, the quantum field listens to that contraction louder than it hears your vision board. Because the field isn't fooled by performance. It's fluent in authenticity. It doesn't respond to your conscious desires. It responds to your unconscious truths. And that's why it feels like you're stuck. Not because you're doing it wrong, but because you're still trying to manifest from the version of you who hasn't felt safe to fully exist. And that version of you is not your enemy. It's your origin. It's the part of you that survived when you didn't know how to thrive, the part of you that protected your heart by playing small, that kept your voice quiet so you wouldn't be judged, that chose stability over growth. Because at least it was predictable, and now you're outgrowing that, but your frequency hasn't caught up yet. You don't shift by shaming that part of you. You shift by embracing it, by feeling into the discomfort it carries, by listening to what it's been trying to protect you from, by telling it over and over that it's safe now, to release the script, to let go of the loop, to stop repeating the same emotional code. Because the field is a mirror, and when you start embodying a new frequency, even when it feels unfamiliar, even when your outer world hasn't caught up yet, that mirror will begin to crack. And through those cracks, you'll see the first glimpse of the new timeline. The one you've been trying to force, but could never quite catch because you were chasing it instead of becoming it. That's the shift, that's the work. And once it clicks, once you feel that energetic coherence between your body, your mind, your soul, reality starts to move differently. Not because you changed the world outside, but because you stopped abandoning the truth of your energy. And when that happens, the field doesn't need convincing, it responds. Always faithfully, instantly. So let's talk about why it keeps happening. Why no matter how many books you read or techniques you try or courses you buy or mantras you repeat, your reality snaps back like a rubber band. Because you're still trying to shift your life from the same energetic template that created it in the first place. And that template is your nervous system, not your vision board, not your conscious goals, not even your desire to heal. It's the unconscious blueprint of what you expect and what you tolerate and what you believe is emotionally survivable. Because here's the truth. No one tells you your nervous system is not designed to make you happy. It's designed to keep you alive. And sometimes, what kept you alive in the past is exactly what's holding you back now. Let that land. Because if your body learned that chaos meant connection, or that silence meant rejection, or that success meant danger, or that visibility meant punishment, then no matter how badly your mind wants change, your body will fight it, and you won't even realize it. Because these patterns don't scream, they whisper. They whisper through self-sabotage and procrastination, and constant anxiety and that feeling you can't shake, that says, this is too good to be true. So you pull back, or you freeze up, or you settle for less, or you chase the familiar pain that once felt like love. And then you tell yourself, maybe you're not meant for more, but that's not truth. That's trauma talking. That's a nervous system still wired for survival, not expansion. And this is the root of why your manifestations stall. Not because you're broken or weak or unworthy, but because your body is still vibrating at the frequency of the old story. And that frequency gets picked up by the field and mirrored right back to you with painful precision. Because the quantum field isn't sentimental. It doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you broadcast. And if what you broadcast beneath the surface is fear or unworthiness or self-betrayal, then the field says, okay, and gives you more of that. But here's the radical shift. You don't have to fix yourself. You have to rewire the signal. You have to feel safe in the version of you that already has what you want. You have to become familiar with the unknown. You have to teach your body that calm is not boring, and love is not dangerous, and abundance is not a trap, and joy is not temporary. You have to become a safe place for your next level to land, because if your nervous system doesn't feel safe in the new, it will recreate the old again and again, not out of failure but out of loyalty to what it thinks is normal. And here's where most people give up. They think they're not manifesting correctly, when really, they're just broadcasting from a frequency that no longer matches their desires. But you're here now, and that means you're ready to shift from survival to creation, from effort to alignment, from unconscious loops to intentional living. The field is listening, but first you have to change the song. And maybe no one told you this before, but the moment you start becoming aware of the song you're singing, beneath your thoughts, beneath your words, beneath your vision boards, that's the moment everything starts to bend. Because it's not about adding more, it's about removing the static, the noise, the subconscious resistance that's been playing in the background, like an old record scratch you stopped noticing. Because here's what happens when you live on autopilot. You don't just think the same thoughts. You feel the same emotions, you expect the same outcomes, and your body gets chemically addicted to the same cycles. It's not just psychological, it's physiological. Your brain becomes wired for familiarity. Your hormones become tuned to survival mode. Your heart rate, your breath, your gut all syncing to the rhythm of a life you no longer want but unconsciously maintain. And then manifestation starts to feel like chasing a hologram. Like the more you run toward it, the more it disappears. And that's because the outer world is just a mirror that doesn't lie or negotiate or sugarcoat. It reflects exactly what you've normalized internally. So if you've normalized lack, it reflects scarcity. If you've normalized being overlooked, it reflects invisibility. If you've normalized being let down, it reflects disappointment. And you start calling it fate or karma or timing. But none of that is destiny. It's just unhealed energy, replaying itself like a scene you're stuck inside of. And maybe you've gotten good at acting like everything's okay, smiling through it, nodding at affirmations, hoping it'll finally stick this time. But underneath there's tension, a quiet grief for the version of you that believed by now things would be different. And I want you to hear this. You're not failing. You're awakening. You're becoming aware of the mismatch between what you say you want and what you're still broadcasting underneath. That's not a breakdown, it's a breakthrough. It means you're ready to shift. But this shift isn't about hustling harder or meditating longer. It's about getting radically honest with yourself. What do I truly believe I deserve? What do I still fear might happen if I actually get what I want? Because that's where the energetic contract lives. That invisible agreement you made a long time ago to stay small, or stay safe, or stay hidden. And until you tear up that contract and write a new one, the field has no choice but to mirror the old terms. But when you decide to renegotiate, when you decide to make safety synonymous with expansion, that's when the field starts responding differently. Not because the world changed, but because your frequency did. And now, reality has no choice but to catch up. Because it always listens. Not to your words, but to your signal. And this is where everything changes. Because once you realize that your energy is not just reacting to your environment, but actually generating it, you stop waiting. You stop hoping that someone else will come and choose you or fix you or see you. You stop waiting for the perfect conditions, or the right alignment or the external validation to begin living as if you already are who you came here to be. And you start anchoring into a new baseline. One where worth is not a question. One where safety is not tied to struggle. One where expansion doesn't feel like a threat to your nervous system. But that shift doesn't happen by accident. It happens the moment you make a new decision. Not from your mind, but from your body, from your breath, from the stillness between thoughts, from that place inside you that remembers who you were before the world taught you to settle. That's where your true power lives. And maybe you haven't felt it in a while. Maybe you buried it under years of pleasing and pretending and pushing, but it's still there, waiting for you to stop outsourcing your truth, waiting for you to stop performing alignment and start embodying it. Because when you do, when your energy stops trying to escape this moment and starts rooting into it, everything bends. The people you meet, the opportunities that appear, the synchronicities that multiply, the timelines that shift. Because the field no longer detects confusion, It detects coherence. It hears your energy, saying, "This is who I am now," and it believes you. Because the field always believes your embodiment. Not your hope, not your wish, not your script, but your embodiment. And embodiment doesn't mean perfection. It means consistency. It means returning to your power when your mind spirals. Returning to your center when fear hijacks your breath. Returning to the signal you've chosen when everything around you tries to trigger the old one. This is how you collapse loops, not by forcing reality to change, but by refusing to play the same frequency again. By becoming unavailable for your old identity. Unavailable for the pain that felt normal. Unavailable for the self-abandonment you once called love. This is what shifting actually looks like. Not magic, not luck, but energetic integrity. And once you start living like this, even your silence becomes magnetic. Even your presence becomes a portal. Because the field is no longer guessing who you are. It knows you've made it unmistakably clear. So now you're not waiting for signs because you are the sign. You're not asking the universe to confirm your path because your energy is already walking it. You're not trying to hold a vibration anymore. You're becoming the vibration. And when that happens, your life stops repeating. The patterns that used to chase you lose their grip. The people who mirrored your wounds begin to fade. The reality that felt like a cage begins to dissolve. Not because it changed, but because you outgrew the frequency that sustained it. You're not looping anymore, you're launching. And it's not loud or flashy. It's not a quantum leap that explodes overnight. It's a quiet internal shift that echoes into every corner of your existence. It's the moment your nervous system realizes it's safe to expand. The moment your breath gets deeper without trying. The moment you stop checking for evidence and start becoming the evidence. You realize that you've always had access to the shift, but access doesn't mean embodiment, and now you're embodying it. Now you're moving different. You don't beg for alignment anymore. You exude it. You don't chase worth. You radiate it. And that radiance doesn't come from affirmations or techniques. It comes from shedding, from releasing the parts of you that were never really you, from no longer pretending to be someone small, just to feel safe in a shrinking world, from no longer waiting for the fear to leave before you move. Because now you move with the fear and still choose truth. Now you feel the anxiety and still choose power. Now you notice the old vibration knocking and still choose to answer with a new frequency. That's real mastery. That's quantum shift. And this moment, right here, where you're not just hearing this but feeling it, that's the beginning of your new signal. It's not just content anymore. It's not just inspiration, it's activation. Your cells are listening, your breath is shifting. The field is recalibrating around your new coherence. Because you finally remembered who you are beneath the forgetting. And once that remembering locks in, reality doesn't stand a chance, it has to shift. Not because you pushed, but because you aligned. If something in you feels different, now that's not a coincidence, that's resonance. You felt this because it was already inside you, waiting to be remembered. And maybe this video didn't give you all the answers, but it opened the door. A door back to your own energy, your own truth, your own power. And if you feel that pull to keep going that quiet, knowing that this is just the beginning, then trust that. Because the shift doesn't end here. It deepens. And every time you return, every time you listen again, every time you choose this path, the signal gets stronger, the field gets clearer, and your reality follows. So when you're ready, when it's time to go even deeper, you'll know where to find it. Not because anyone told you to, but because your soul will lead you there every single time.